Good evening. Great to be with you tonight. Special guest Karen, my wife. Say hi.
Hi.
Very good. Very, very good. Good evening. Great to be with you tonight. We have a little echo there. Karen, my wife. Say
There we go.
hi. Aha. So, we're going to talk about Karen tonight. You'll get to know Karen a little bit better. And also, if you have questions for Karen as we go along, feel free to ask them in the comments and say hi in the comments. And we wish you all a very, very good evening tonight as we gather together. So, as we gather together tonight, we say hi to Amy and hi to all that are here with us. We are going to be talking about Karen, and Karen will be sharing about herself and other things along that nature. So, as we get started, I thought maybe a good place would be for you just to share some of your favorite things.
My favorite things.
Right.
Well, let's see. I love teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I love reading the Bible. I love reading.
Mm-hmm. I know you do.
I enjoy playing video games with Joel because I'm bad at it. But I like being outside.
That is good.
So.
That is good. As we get started tonight, we'll talk more about Karen. I'm going to read and I'm going to share with you a little bit from the book of Psalms as we get started. And Psalm 128. We'll try that. It talks about family and the gift of family. Psalm 128. Blessed is everyone who fears the Lord, who walks in his ways. You shall eat the fruit of the labor of your hands. You shall be blessed, and it shall be well with you. Your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house. Your children will be like olive shoots around your table. Behold, thus shall the man be blessed who fears the Lord. The Lord bless you from Zion. May you see the prosperity of Jerusalem all the days of your life. May you see your children's children. Peace be upon Israel. So that is a good psalm, I thought, very fitting for tonight as a little devotion to get started. A reminder that all of these gifts come from God. Hello, Lisa. It is great to be with you tonight. And so a little bit more about Karen. What's everyday life like for you as a teacher, principal, and pastor's wife?
Busy, very busy. It's been very crazy since this COVID situation. When we were in normalcy, I would say I would get up usually about 4:45 each morning, get ready, feed the crazy cat, and then be at school. I was usually at school around 10 to 7, 5 to 7 each morning. Full day of school, we had fun teaching and working with the kids and the teachers and everything, and then whatever evening activities I had, meetings and so forth, and then involvement at our church with music and whatever else I could do, and then plus house and family, and so that's pretty much my day-to-day.
You keep pretty busy. You also get up pretty early in the morning.
Yep.
Very early in the morning.
Yep.
I don't know how you do it. Okay, so I have another question for you, and if you want to just take it, go right ahead. But I have some questions, starters.
Okay, ask your questions.
Okay, so maybe you could tell some of the story of how we met and how we ever got married.
Yeah. Well, let's go way back.
Way back.
Okay, so
Way back.
I'm a year older
Way
than you.
back. Yep.
Hard to believe, but I'm a year older than him. And
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
All right. So we're at Concordia. and I worked in the summer. I worked in admissions, so I processed yours and your brother's admission to Concordia. So I knew there were twins coming in the pre-sem program.
Kind of was a warning.
Yeah, kind of a warning. And their names are so close. They're only a letter apart. So that was interesting too. But I also worked in the library at Concordia, so I saw everybody, and I guess they called me library girl or something. I don't know. But then,
Something like that.
yeah, something like that. So
I know that's the first time I saw you was in the library.
So
I'll never forget that.
oh, well, cool. So we're in band together, and I don't really. He played French horn, I played clarinet, but the funny thing is, when we were at Concordia, my friends and I, we were like, unless you knew Darren and Daryl originally, it was hard to tell them apart. So we never knew which one was which, and when I met Daryl, he's like, "Oh, hi," he was all happy, and then I'd see Darren. He always carried his books like this.
I was very serious.
And he marched down the hallway.
I was very serious.
And he wouldn't make
I was
eye
on a mission.
contact. And I'd look at, we always, whenever you're passing someone in the halls, you say hello. So he's doing this, and I said hi, and he'd go, hi. And he'd turn his head.
That's kind of an exaggeration.
No, that's what you did. And then he turned around and he says hi, and I thought, oh, that's the stuck-up Bond twin. So that's kind of
got your attention. It was all part of the plan.
That's what I thought of you at first, is you were the stuck-up Bond twin.
It's just so you let down your guard.
Yep. And then we could tell them apart because Daryl had plastic rim glasses and Darren had wire rim and plastic, and Daryl had L's, so that's how we would tell them apart. We always had to look at their glasses.
Right. Oh, by the way, hi Mariah, hi Gail, hi Amy, hi Christina, hi Teresa, hi Julie, hi Brianna. I've been falling asleep at the wheel here. Hello everyone, great to see you tonight. So Karen's talking about how we met and how we ever came to be married.
Yep. So then we kind of just ignored each other, but I was a year ahead and changing my major every 5 minutes that year. So we then went to Camp Louisimo, and we were working there. We were both counselors there, and I also worked in the office. So,
that's the camp for the South Wisconsin district of the Lutheran Church.
Right, so the Camp Luther of South Wisconsin. And so I was Friday because I worked in the office.
That was her nickname.
And he was Smiley because he smiles.
I learned to smile by this point, so that's a good thing in my development as an individual,
right.
as a human being.
So we kind of all hung out together and things like that because we were the Concordia Mequon group. But the camp nurse really had a crush on you.
Oh, yeah.
And it was my mission to try to get you to notice her.
Because she was kind of like the matchmaker.
Yep, I was. And I was, very happy to be kind of just on the outskirts letting everybody else match up, and I just kind of stood back. And
that got my attention.
Yeah, I guess. So then we just kind of hung out at camp as a group and friends, and then we were back at Concordia. I didn't see you for a little while. And it was funny because at camp, everybody wanted me to cut their hair. And because I cut my brother's hair, that's when, guys could have the bangs straight across and the long mushroomy hair and stuff.
How things have changed.
Well, so I'm cutting people's hair at camp. And anyway, we get back to Concordia. So I would say probably be about 3 weeks from when we got back. Didn't really see each other. And then all of a sudden he walks up to the table where I'm sitting with my friends eating lunch. And he goes, "Will you cut my hair?" And I said, "Okay."
I guess that was about as awkward as it could be.
So we went and I cut his hair somewhere, and then we just kind of hung around, and we were, we'd be study buddies. We'd sit in Albrecht Lounge and study at night.
My hair grew pretty fast back then.
Yeah, he had thick brown hair. And so we're just kind of hanging out.
We'll get to that, Teresa, how long it was before I asked Karen out.
Okay, so yeah, it was, so we got back to school, so that would have been like August. So October is homecoming.
Right.
And we're just hanging out, going, doing homework together and stuff, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he goes, "Do you want to go to homecoming?" And I think my mouth hit the floor, because it just shocked me. And all of a sudden he goes, "You don't have to if you don't want to." and
I was a man of few words.
and I said, "No, that sounds good." And then after that, we were just always together. So, but the funny thing is, when we got engaged, which was shortly after that, like what, 3 months later, we were
It didn't
engaged.
take long.
And then we were engaged for a year and a half. But my friends from home, when I went to Concordia, I was a pre-law major
At first.
and then of course, everyone, my home church, my family, my teachers at school all said I should teach, and I kept saying no, I gotta do something big, right? So anyway,
Big.
I was not happy with that, but so finally I said, fine, I'm gonna go ahead and try education, which was where I should have been to begin with.
Fine.
But when I went to Concordia, I said there's two things I would never be:
Ever.
a teacher or a pastor's wife.
God has a sense of humor.
Yeah, he has a sense of humor, because when I went there, I had no intention of being either of those.
Right.
And I came out being both of those. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we got married right after we graduated.
Man proposes, God disposes.
What?
Never mind.
So, but we were, and you got through college in 3 years, so we were young. I was 22, and
Very
you were
young,
21
looking
when we
back
got
on it.
married.
Gosh.
So, and then did the whole 4 years of seminary, and and at the beginning of fourth year,
I graduated from college in 3 years so we
Right.
could go to seminary together.
Right. Otherwise, I would have found, I would have been out for a year while he was finishing at Concordia. So he finished up. He did some summer school and overloaded a little bit, but he got out in 3 years. And then we had Clarissa at the beginning of the fourth year of seminary, and we were expecting Andrew at the end of the fourth year of seminary. So when he got his first call, we had a child and one on the way. So we were pretty, and I was teaching in the inner city at that
Right,
time too, inner
right.
city St. Louis. So,
It was quite a thing.
mm-hmm.
We were poor.
Very poor. Yep.
We had nothing.
Yep.
I don't know how we made it through those years, but God was with us. So Tim asked, what's the hardest part of being a pastor's wife?
The hardest part, I think it depends on where you are. I think when we had little kids, and maybe Rebecca can relate to this, when we had little kids, I felt kind of sometimes like I was a single parent, because you had to do your things. I know there was one time I was dealing with the kids, and at that time, when we were in Kansas, our house we were in a parsonage next to the church.
Right.
And I remember there was some kind of meal or something going on there, and I was trying to hold on to Clarissa in one hand and Andrew in the other. They were just being naughty. And finally I just took them both home, and you came home and said, "What's going on?" I'm crying, and I said, "I'm going to be a shut-in till they're 18. So I think, and finding your own place, because I think sometimes it's easy to kind of, you're a pastor's wife, which is,
People have expectations,
yeah, there's
like
expectations, and also it's
a
kind
stereotype. Or,
right, and sometimes depends where you're at. Again, they might see you more as an extension of the pastor, or the family is kind of what goes along with the pastor, is attached to the pastor, but we're all our own people within
Right.
our own right too. So that's probably the hardest, I think.
And Karen's always my secret weapon. I always think of her because she is a church worker herself, and she has a great deal of expertise. She's great to bounce things off of, and figuratively speaking. And, she understands, and I thank God for her. It really is a situation where, we've been married a little while now, but it's like, for me, I thank God that it's just, I've gotten to know Karen, and I've been very blessed to, as the years have gone by, just to understand her more, hopefully. And, I feel every bit as in love with her as I ever have. In fact, more so. I admire her more every day, and And I just thank God for her more every day. Beyond what I ever thought when we first started out for those first few years. It just is amazing how God has been at work in our lives, how He's brought us together, how we've been able to grow over the years, and just have that kind of love that's deep and a profound kind of love. So I'm thankful for that. So that is how we got to be married. That is some of the challenge. What's the most rewarding part of being a pastor's wife? Christina asks.
I think being able to be part of the ministry, it's exciting to see the things that he does in reaching out to people with the good news of Jesus Christ. I've always considered myself an introvert, and I'm sure people think I am. I'm more of a contemplative person. I kind of listen and formulate things. I need to process things, and people take that as being shy. And I am introvert, I will admit it. But to be able to, and you are as well,
right,
and to be able,
we kind of match.
Yeah, to be able that God can take you, even though you might have some, weaknesses or areas, but He can use you to spread the gospel, and it's exciting to be part of that. So I think that's rewarding. Rewarding part of being a pastor's wife, and also being in a home where your children are going to be raised in the faith. So a lot of families, and which is a blessing for us at Christ that we have, families who are connected to the Word and to God and to each other. Not all kids have that, so.
Right. Thank you, Julie, and we thank God for you and for all of the people that God has brought in our lives through being at Christ Lutheran. And Teresa, yes, I agree. When you marry your best friend is definitely a blessing. That's the way it was when I felt when we started, that I was marrying my best friend, and our friendship's only grown over the years. Absolutely. So, you're a teacher. You give homework, a lot of homework.
Yeah.
And as a wife, you have a list of things that I need to do. And it grows. And there are things I haven't done that I need to do. Absolutely. But I've got some things for you now, to put the shoe on the other foot.
Oh, okay.
So, for those of you that might not know, when we do marriage counseling as pastors, it's not really counseling, it's more pastoral advice. But when we do marriage counseling, we often use Prepare Enrich, which is a inventory for couples, both pre-marriage and after you've been married. So if you look there, you can see that they have Prepare Enrich has a blog online, and they sent an email out. So here are 6 cozy dates for quarantine. And this is for couples, any couple, and especially married couples. But here are some dates you can do during COVID-19.
Okay.
They had a list of 12, but to really be feasible, they had to cut it in half. So, one is create the ultimate movie/Netflix binge experience. So it says, well, let's be real. We've probably all been doing our share of this lately, but think of how you could make it fun, special, or different. Maybe you could make it a theme night, or randomly pick a movie and see who can write the funniest review to share after. So maybe we can do a Disney Plus or Star Wars night. That would be good. Thank you, Teresa. I'm thankful for my teammate, definitely. And thank you, Gail. God bless you also. And I know God has used you also for good. Definitely. I think Clarissa's watching. Hi, Clarissa.
Yep, she said she's an introvert.
Is that what she said?
Yep.
Clarissa says she's an introvert, but she's really super outgoing, I think.
It's out of our family.
Right,
yeah.
Right, compared to the rest of us.
Yep.
She's a very, very fun person. Absolutely, a great daughter. So that was the first one. The second one was give an in-depth lesson. So take turns teaching each other about one of your favorite subjects or hobbies.
Algebra.
There you go. The other day, I literally did ask her about quadratic equations. I did. Remember that?
Yep.
So maybe you can teach me a lesson on quadratic equations.
Well, I have one recorded for my class. You can watch it.
I will watch that.
There you go.
All right. The next one is have a picnic, whether it's in your backyard or bedroom. We're working on rearranging our bedroom right now, so
Trying to get the junk out of the bedroom.
right. Like, how many people are doing that? How many, now that you're at home more maybe, how many of you are like really working on getting your house in shape? I think that is a thing, a definite thing. I can't wait till we can have a garage sale.
That's a long time.
A long
coming.
time. It's a long haul. Julie says, "Yay algebra, Christina! I love algebra." I think that we've struck a chord there. So have a picnic, watch a sunrise or a sunset. That would be good. That's always fun to do. I love doing that. Grab some coffee.
Oh yeah.
Right.
We've been doing that a lot.
Yeah.
It's great that Dunkin' and Coffee Cabin are still open.
Yes, indeed. Hi, Amy. Glad that you concur. And another one is take a hike. Well, you know I like hiking. Now, Karen doesn't like my style of hiking quite often because I'll stop.
Yeah, you go like 1 foot and take a picture. You go 1 foot, and I'm like, I just want to get done.
Yeah,
you know?
her goal is to get from the start to the finish. Mine is to stop as much as possible along the way. So that we don't go hiking a lot together, but we have done it. Remember last year we went to Peninsula State Park, I think it was, together. Did some hiking. Got caught in a rainstorm.
Oh yeah. Hail. Yep.
Right,
You gotta
right.
go run back and get the car.
Yeah. So, Julie also working on getting the home in shape. Yep. And so take a hike. That one for us, unless we like go for a walk outside.
Yeah, that's okay.
It probably won't happen, but that's all right. We've learned this, and when Andrew and I get out hiking, actually that's kind of I'll tell you a secret. I think Karen likes it a little bit to have her alone time,
Yep.
and that's okay. We know when to give each other space. Sometimes everybody needs that. So that's what we've kind of learned over the years, and it's all right. You don't have to do everything together, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, I get a lot more done in the house when you
Yeah.
guys aren't here
You
too.
kind
so.
that's kind of your like therapeutic in
yeah,
a way. I think.
that is.
So and the last but not least is exchange gifts. Exchange gifts. It says that's what it says there. I'm not making that up. So exchange gifts. It says this probably sounds like an odd one, especially if you don't have a gifting occasion coming up. Although we do have an anniversary coming up on June 4th.
Yep.
Right. So.
Mother's Day.
That is true.
Oh,
but that's not like a mutual gifting.
okay.
I was thinking mutual gifting.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. That's my story. I'll stick to it. Okay. Well, Mother's Day, we'll have to work on that.
Okay.
So what you can do is, shopping isn't such a great thing now. It's kind of nerve-wracking unless you use Amazon. Unless you use the Amazon. But, like, there are other ways to do that too, like creating a gift out of things you already have around the home, or finding some old memorabilia and using that.
Flooring. That's around the home.
We still have the flooring that I said I'd put in the kitchen.
It's been in our basement for over 5 years now.
Yep. I will do it. maybe sooner rather than later now. But right, okay.
Now that the world knows.
Now that, and I've even mentioned that in like a Christmas sermon a couple of years ago, and I still haven't done
A
it.
couple of years ago.
Okay, more than a couple of years ago. But anyway, so all right, reading time for Karen. Yes, indeed, Lisa. Teresa says, "How many years will you be married on June 4th?" Goodness sakes,
I don't know if you know this.
I have to look at my calendar.
No.
So, I think it will be 31 years? No? How many?
32.
32. 31 now, 32 then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So at some point, we'll be married 31 years that day, and then at some point, we'll be married 32 years. So it's half right.
Okay.
And I was close.
You were close. I'll give you that.
Closer than normal.
That's true. Because you thought we were married like 20 something years. I was like, we have a 28-year-old.
Yeah, that. I'm bad about that. I'll admit it. So, okay, yes. I will be ready, Teresa, when you ask me next time for exactly how long I've been married to Karen.
Yep.
I promise I'll be ready.
Okay.
As ready as I can be.
Okay.
All right. Just think when we can celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary.
Oof.
Oof is right. So, yeah, we had for our 30th wedding anniversary. That's when we went on the cruise, right? To Alaska. That was very special. Thank you, Julie. Oh, the flooring. Okay. Yeah, we'll work on that. I tried to change the subject, but to no avail. No avail. Oh well. Looks like I have to work. I have to be careful so I don't injure myself, because you don't want to do that.
Because you're old.
Because I'm old. But it probably is inevitable in the next several weeks that this will happen. Probably.
I'll let you know in the next 5 years.
Well, my goal is to get it done before that. I promise. We can't just leave that flooring sitting downstairs. No.
It's nice flooring.
It is. Peer pressure is a good thing. No doubt about it. Like the whole world now. This is going to go viral probably. I'm going to have like people in every state in the country asking me about how I do.
Clarissa said,
Do the floor, Clarissa says. Ah, yes.
Oh, Clarissa wanted to remind you of when she got lost on the hike.
Oh, yeah. Right. It was a few years ago. It's like at the start of my hiking adventures. We were hiking at...
Oh, by the Castle Rock.
By Castle Rock.
Yeah, in that area. Yeah, I don't remember the name.
Clarissa and Steven went hiking last weekend. It looked like it was a lot of fun. But they have some great Facebook pictures up about that. And we were hiking at... I can't think of the name of it right now.
Yeah.
But it was another situation where I was stopping and taking pictures, and Karen was going on ahead.
It was.
There were a lot of
raining
mosquitoes. Mosquitoes were
gross.
bad.
They were awful.
Right. And, it was so bad that that a guy basically came across me when I was taking pictures and yelled at me that I didn't have mosquito netting. Mm-hmm. So that's how bad it was. And well, hopefully the floor isn't outdated by that. It's pretty neutral. It should be fine. There's some technical aspects that I have to figure out to getting it done, but I think we can do that. So, right. And so Clarissa was kind of going back and forth between us, and she kind of zigged when the rest of us zagged. So I was practically running around the trail trying to find Clarissa. And we did eventually. which is good.
Yep.
I almost lost my twin brother when we were at the Grand Canyon when I was in college, but that's another story. So, do you want to do like any free form talking now? Free form.
Free form talking.
Yeah.
Like embarrassing stories about you?
Well, I guess I can't stop you.
Let's see. What can I tell about you?
I don't know.
I don't know. I can't think of anything freeform.
Can't think of anything free
I could
form.
tell him about when we lost Joel when we first moved here.
Yeah, that's a good story.
That was
Well, not a
awful.
good story,
That
but
was awful.
a bad story, but a story just the same.
Yeah.
And then you can tell the story about the neighbor dog and Andrew too.
Oh, yeah, in Kansas. Yep.
So here's some kind of difficulties that we made it through.
We lived here exactly 1 week,
1 week.
and Joel just walked in, and we had our TV. Our house is a split level. We had our TV downstairs, and before we moved here, Andrew would have been, what, maybe three or
Right.
well, no, because Joel was 8, so maybe 4-ish.
Maybe.
But Andrew had
I'm bad at that, you know.
Yeah, he had a way of sneaking out. He could unlock the doors and sneak out of the house. And so we had warned the neighbors to be on the lookout for him in case that happened. We didn't have a chance to put hooks and eyes on the doors yet.
Right.
Well, what happened instead was Joel was downstairs with Clarissa watching TV, and I think Andrew got tired of him, or I don't know what happened, but anyway, he let Joel out.
Right.
And we didn't have any like swing set or anything up yet, but our neighbor across the street had this big sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
So he saw that, thought freedom, went over there. I didn't realize he was out of the house, and all of a sudden there's a knock on the door and there's a policeman saying, "Did you lose like an 18-month-old?"
That doesn't happen every day.
And I looked and I yelled, "Clarissa, is Joel down there?" And she's like, "No." And I started freaking out. So I'm crying, Clarissa's crying, and turns out the neighbor that's behind the sandbox neighbor, I could have seen that through the window.
Right.
But the one behind there went and took him. And so she had called the police and even told them, "I think he belongs to that lady over there." And I got
Rather
there.
than just bring him back.
I don't know. They must have thought we were crazy or something.
Right.
But I went over there and she had him changed and had him with a sippy cup. And as soon as he saw me, I just went, "Joel," and he reached for me. And I said, I didn't expect this to happen with Joel. I thought it'd be more of an Andrew thing. Mm-hmm. And then she said, "Well, welcome to the neighborhood." And I
Quite a welcome.
Yeah, so I came back here. I'm sitting on our stairs. There's cops around parked all around us. And here comes Darren. He sees there's cops here, and he runs in the house. I'm sitting on the stairs like, "I want to leave Marshfield," because I was so freaked out by that.
Yep.
But the next day we had hooks and eyes on everything.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
We moved the TV upstairs and
We made changes.
yeah, we did. We did.
Right.
So that was our first week here in Marshfield.
That was a bit of a rough week.
Mm-hmm.
So, and by the way, while you were doing that, I had an ulterior motive for giving you free time to talk.
Uh-oh.
I put up the links from Prepare and Rich. There's one for the dates, in case you want to look that up, and there's also another little link with that, and that is for couples if you want to watch a little webinar that they're doing for couples during COVID-19. Do you want to tell the dog story?
The dog story. Okay. Well, that was in Kansas.
It's kind of involved, but
Our neighbor had in this big cage this really big, mean dog, and it was her son's dog. He had it in Chicago, raised it to be, I think he fought with it and everything.
For dog fighting.
But instead of him putting the dog to
I think
sleep,
it was a Doberman.
It was called
Pincher.
a Chesapeake. No, it's a Chesapeake.
Oh, it was a
Bay.
Chesapeake, right?
Yeah, I mean, huge dog with nails like that. And so, but instead of him putting the dog to sleep or, it was called a Chesapeake. No, it's a Chesapeake.
Oh, it was a Chesapeake, right?
Yeah, I mean, huge dog with nails like that. And so, but instead of him putting the dog to sleep or, it was called a Chesapeake. No, it's a Chesapeake. Yeah, I mean, huge dog with nails like that. And so and that's when we had, hi Joe, we had a phone. That was when it was cool to have
The cordless phones.
The cordless phone that was
not
big.
not these things.
No,
the
big
the
phone
kind with an
the
antenna.
Yeah. So I had that in my hand. I was talking to a church member, and Andrew was in the. We had a fenced
Some younger
backyard.
generations would not even know what that is.
Probably not. You have to look it up. But he was in our backyard and was fenced. But somehow the gate to the fence was open, and I saw him making a beeline for that cage with that dog. And what was weird is their fence went all the way up to probably about 5 feet next to that cage was wide open.
And then there wasn't any fence.
Right.
It made no sense.
And they would sometimes have that dog on a chain. So I saw him running like that, and I hung up. I still had the phone in my hand, and I'm running after him, trying to catch him before this dog. I didn't see the dog anywhere, so I turned him around, and he was maybe 2,
Right.
or a little less. Yeah, I think it was 2. He had on, diaper and a t-shirt, and all of a sudden out of nowhere that dog came and jumped on him, and that big long claw punched him in the head, and he was trying to bite him. Thankfully, the diaper with the plastic on the outside made it hard for the dog to get a hold of him, so he kind of scraped his back with his teeth. And I still had this phone in my hand, and I just started wailing on this dog. And all I kept thinking was he's gonna, because they always say don't show fear and all that. So I was too mad.
You did not show any fear.
I was too mad, and I just clocked him with that phone, and picked him up. He's bleeding, and then I went running knocked on the door, and I said, I need to know, is your dog, has it had its rabies shot? And the daughter was screaming. They watched the whole thing through the window. And all the mom could say was, I told you not to let him buy the dog. And I was like, whoa, and that dog had attacked many people in town, but she didn't want
People were telling me I should get rid of it.
Yeah, even the police were saying it's weird because the road where the church and the house were on this side, town limits are on this side, and so they kept saying, well, since they lived on this side of the road, they were technically not in the city limits, and therefore they couldn't do anything. So they were hoping that somehow the dog would end up on the other side of the road, and then they could do something. But it was after he got bitten. All of a sudden he disappeared for months. And then all of a sudden there he was again. So she would do that. Every time the dog would get in trouble, she'd send it away but he was raised to be an attack dog, which made no, especially to a little kid. So
Right.
that was...
So it really ended up being a miracle that he wasn't injured, and I think God was watching over. You could say his angels were guarding him, his guardian angel.
Right.
Right. So yeah, that is but one experience. Julie asked, what about people who live alone during the virus? So, well, since this is like a Pastor Darren and Karen, especially Karen night, that's why I had those dates. But I think you can adapt some of those, like the sunset and even the picnic and things like that, and do it on your own, or if you have a dog or a pet that you'd like to do it with, that would be good too. Clarissa and Stephen enjoyed taking their dog Whiskey out with them. You have to be careful when you talk about that, otherwise you could be like, yeah, we took Whiskey out the other day. But yeah. So
well, I think too, it's hard when you're stuck in the house. And that's why I think it's so good to have these opportunities to connect, and even if it is a phone call,
right,
you can have a fun, watch a movie with your friends, even though you're in different places. I've done that before. That's been fun. It's hard though when you're alone, especially because we are people who need to have that connectivity.
Right.
It's so important.
Right. Yeah, what we're going through, it has impacted Karen. She's had terrible nights with dreams since this started. I think her sleep has probably suffered as a result. And there's probably a lot of people out there that can relate to that. Our routine is just so, Karen was mentioning her routine. Well, it's totally out the window right now, and I think that's part of it. I think another part, my dad has a theory that our our dreams are about our hopes and our fears. And during a time like this, we have a lot of fears, to be honest. Last Sunday and throughout last week, a lot of our messages, the sermon, and also on Tammy's page and Sunday school, a lot of and different church members as we were sharing songs with one another. A lot of the theme really was centered around hope, and we have a great deal of hope as believers in Jesus Christ, even during a time like this, that God is able to use it. And just like with Karen and myself, we've been able to, with God's help and by His grace, and sometimes in spite of ourselves, get through things. I think we can do the same thing now. Teresa says, how many cities have you lived in? That's a good question. So when we met, we were in Milwaukee.
Yep, Milwaukee, and then we were in, St. Louis.
St. Louis.
And then Denver.
That's where I had my vicarage, and she taught there.
Yep, and then Sylvan Grove, Kansas.
Right?
And then...
Right in the middle of the state of Kansas.
Right, and then we were up in Leona and Crandon, and then here.
Yep. So we have been in quite a few different cities. So Julie, I'm sorry to hear that you have poor sleep also, and we'll keep you in our prayers. And yeah, I think I've seen online you've been up late at night sometimes, and I've been praying for you, and we'll keep doing that, definitely. Well, unless there are any other questions or things that you would like us to talk about, I think we'll do a song that we sang together for the first time years and years ago, but we both like it, and is Shine, Jesus, Shine. I'll see if I can play guitar as we sing this, and we'll go for it. We'll give it a go. I love how Amanda, who directs our handbells, when we start out a song, and she'll always say, let's give it a go. And it's like a new favorite saying of mine. So shine, Jesus, shine. Set us free by the truth. I'll definitely sleep on the plans for getting the floor done, and I think that I think that my goose is cooked. And Lisa, you're welcome. Thank you for being with us, Amy. We will do our best to shine on God's blessings to you. Thank you, Julie, also. Enjoyed sharing a little bit about ourselves with all of you. I think one of my favorite things about this adventure we're on is like, I think after each day, for Karen and myself, we can, definitely look at each other and kind of like have that appreciation that we know we both gave it our all. Through all our successes and even our failures, sometimes we give it our all, and God gives us strength day by day. Peace, and Pastor Andrew, great to see you. Peace to you, Lisa, also, and all of you tonight. I think that brings us to a close. Would you like to do a little prayer for us as we get ready to say goodnight to everybody?
Sure. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for these people that we've been talking to, our friends and family, and I give you thanks for the opportunity to share a little bit more about me with them. I pray that I can be of help and support to our members and to our friends, and to be a beacon for you to shine my light of your love, and to be able to show that as being part of the congregation and being the wife of the senior pastor, and to be a support and to be the best that I can be for you and your glory. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Oh, Lisa, that's very, very wonderful. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Glad to be with you all. We'll keep you all in our prayers. Have a very, very good night, one and all. Great to be with you.